Aiken just 2 days after his birthday. Hakeem Hampton has been arrested and charged in that murder, and authorities are still looking for another suspect. But the case is under investigation, but Mackenzie School wanted to do something to help bring peace. They planted a tree on the property in his memory. Sarah Cummings was at that ceremony, and she was able to talk to family.
The school team at North Aiken wrote the family this poem. They even gave them tools to help water and grow the tree. Mom says although Edward left a big hole, this small gesture means a lot. The 12-year-old was adored by staff here. Teachers told us he was well known. School officials came up with planting a tree because they wanted to preserve his memory long after the current students graduate. What makes the gesture go further, Edward's little sister will be in charge of watering and nurturing the tree. She's also a student here. Today's ceremony paid tribute to his impact as a student, friend, and most importantly, son. The tree planting brought the family to tears, saying it offers them a level of healing.
It made me feel special, for my son because, he's lovable. I can always come here and talk to him whenever I want to because they already told me that I can. And then my daughter, she's going to come and just a spot that they can come to.
Aiken County Sheriff's Office has already arrested one murder suspect in this case. They're still looking for Demetrius Williams. The family's pleading, if you know anything, contact the Aiken County Sheriff's Office. I'm Sarah Cummings on your side.
Oh man, such a sweet tribute. Taking a look outside over Grovetown this afternoon, the sun's setting a lot earlier now these days, Riley. It's hard to get adjusted.
Definitely takes a while to get used to watching that sunset at 5:30, and definitely is already setting, folks. So yeah, we got some dark night ahead of us and a cold night as well. We're expecting frost advisories to verify early Tuesday morning. This is in anticipation of temperatures down to the mid to low 30s. So if you're planning to head out to the polls right when they open at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, we're expecting temps down into the mid to low 30s once again. Would not be surprised if a few spots actually get below freezing. That would be for more rural spots, kind of away from the city, that can cool down a lot more effectively at night. Our temperatures currently still a little bit on the cool side. Our temperatures were below average this afternoon. Many of us around the metro are already into the upper 50s. Some spots along I-20 there, Thompson coming in at 53, already 50 in Saluda. So these temps are going to be cooling down very efficiently at night thanks to this big dome of cold high pressure sitting right on top of us. Clear skies, calm winds, those are the two ingredients you need to cool down effectively after night. Now, currently visible satellite imagery not showing any cloud cover. We're not really expecting much in the way of clouds over the next several days. Should stay rain-free until we get to the weekend. Evening planner looking good to go. We're going to be in the 40s here fairly shortly, the next couple of hours or so, and then once again hitting the 30s early tomorrow. Have another look at your election day forecast and some warmer temps later this week in just a little bit.
A live look from a makeup can turn that in person. New fencing is set to be put up around the White House today. This is fencing that was put up this summer during protests in Washington, D.C. The fence comes as police and other officials are getting ready for possible protests related to the 2020 presidential election. A lot of businesses near the White House have already boarded doors and windows as well out of precaution. Some businesses in California's Bay Area, they're boarding up ahead of tomorrow's presidential election as well. Construction crews were busy boarding windows yesterday in San Francisco's Union Square. Officials have emergency plans for what they fear could be a night of protest, no matter the outcome. The Union Square Business Improvement District is estimating 75% of stores in the high-end shopping area will be boarded up. If someone in your home tests positive for COVID, what can you expect? Well, this study from the CDC followed more than 100 households that began with just one confirmed case of COVID. Over half of people living with those patients went on to test positive. About 75% of infections were diagnosed within 5 days of the original patient's first symptoms. The U.S. has the highest number of deaths from COVID right now, sitting at nearly 231,000. The death toll for the virus globally has passed 1.2 million today. That's according to Johns Hopkins University's tally. The world's total number of COVID cases stands at more than 46 million. To Turkey now, where rescuers saved a 3-year-old little girl today. She spent 65 hours under the rubble of a building that was destroyed by an earthquake. You can see her sweet little face bruised and beaten. The girl was saved Friday, but she was trapped with her mother and 3 siblings who were pulled out alive by search and rescue teams. At least 81 people lost their lives and about 1,000 were injured. Earlier, a 14-year-old girl who was trapped under the building was rescued after 58 hours. A miracle. The Philippines recovering today after a powerful super typhoon slammed into the country. Yesterday, more than a dozen people were killed there. The typhoon also set off volcanic mud flows, which buried a number of houses. The government's disaster response agency said nearly 1 million people moved into emergency shelters. The Philippines gets about 20 typhoons and storms each year. More European countries are leaning towards a total lockdown to stop the spread of COVID. Thousands of protesters filled the streets of Rome after the weekend after Italy issued a 6 p.m. curfew on businesses there. Workers demanded the government step up financially to support them. England is the latest country to announce a lockdown, which is its second lockdown since March. There are now nearly 5 times more daily COVID cases in the UK than there were during the peak of the pandemic. The Prime Minister hopes another shutdown will get the virus under control by December.
Christmas is going to be different this year, perhaps very different, but it's my sincere hope and belief that by taking tough action now, we can allow families across the country to be together.
France, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands are also enforcing new restrictions on social gatherings as infections surge and intensive care units fill up. With enrollment numbers plunging, some colleges and universities are taking an interesting approach to lure students back. Southern New Hampshire University is offering a tuition-free year for first-time freshmen on campus this fall and discounting tuition by more than 60% next year as well. Already a number of institutions announced they are freezing tuition next year in hopes of attracting more students as families struggle during the ongoing economic crisis. 20 years later, and what went down...
And we are only a day away from Election Day. We'll let you know what to expect if you're heading out to the polls coming up.
And we know weather a lot of times has an effect on the turnout. So Riley, here at home, what are we looking at?
The good news is we are expecting to stay dry for Election Day. The only thing to watch out for is some chilly weather out there. We're actually have frost advisories in effect through 9 a.m. Tuesday, so that's going to be the first couple of hours after those polls have opened. This goes for the entire CSRA, so if you're watching us this afternoon, you are underneath a frost advisory for early Tuesday morning. We are expecting low temperatures down to the mid to possibly even low 30s in a few spots. Freezing is at 32 degrees, and possibly some spots could get a little bit below that, so we could have a light freeze out there early Tuesday. That would mainly be for areas away from the city and more rural environments. Tuesday morning is expected to be the coolest morning of the work week. We'll gradually just kind of warm up our temperatures as we head into the weekend, and by the weekend, that's likely when we'll get back above average and have the chance for a few showers. But no rain in the forecast for your election day. Looking fantastic out there tomorrow. High temperatures are expected to remain below average once again for us. Most likely mid to upper 60s across the board and just very light winds out of the west as well. Mid-60s most likely going to be found for high temperatures if you're along or north of I-20. For us here in the metro and further south is where we have the better opportunity to get just a couple degrees shy of 70 tomorrow afternoon. No rain in the forecast until we get to the weekend. Should be bone dry around here at least through Friday. And for the weekend, our rain chances not really driven by a front coming through, so looking like the rain should not be too widespread or too heavy. So I wouldn't necessarily cancel those outdoor plans just yet for the weekend. Remember the tropical wave we were talking about Friday that had the potential to become a named storm? Well, now this is a major hurricane. This is Hurricane Eta, about to head towards Central America. Not moving too quickly right now, 9 miles per hour at the west-southwest, but it is expected, unfortunately, to make landfall as a major hurricane there. And then over the next couple of days, through the course of the week, it's most likely going to hang around that Central American coastline before eventually getting back into the open waters of the Caribbean. And that's where it becomes more of a concern for our area, because if it makes this loop back out to water, it could make a trek northward to the southeast coast. Now, that wouldn't be until 2 weeks away from now, so there's still a lot of time between now and then, but for the immediate future, no impacts for us here in the U.S. Looking over the Savannah River here, courtesy of EarthCam, a beautiful sunset just crept below the horizon there. Clear skies tonight, calm winds as well, so we have the prime time conditions to cool off at night. And once again, we're already into the upper 50s here in Augusta, so even if you're stepping out this evening, be monitoring the potential for just some cool temps out there. Now, staying dry through Friday as we head into the weekend. Got the chance for a few showers, but overall not much rain in the forecast the next 7 days.
A tram stopped from plunging nearly 30 feet off a pier, and what it's sitting on will blow your mind.
Think your voting record is private by Help America Vote Act.
It is a whale of a tale, in this case saved by the tail of a whale. Stay with me here. A tram in the Netherlands saved from disaster by this sculpture this morning. It ran past the end of its tracks, nearly crashed off the end of a pier, but it came to rest on the tail of this whale statue. Crazy. The train operator was shaken up, luckily not injured, and no passengers were on board, but man, talk about a well-placed statue. Okay, good news, parents. Play-Doh isn't just for kids anymore. The toy brand is set to launch a new line of their famous dough for adults. The Play-Doh for grown-ups has a more sophisticated packaging and also comes in, comforting scents. Overpriced latte, I love that smell. Spa day, but also more original smells like mom jeans, which smells like freshly washed denim. Dad sneakers, which gives off the scent of new shoes. And Lord of the Lawn, which smells like freshly cut grass. Man, your 30s really are where it's at. You too can have grown-up scented Play-Doh. You can find the Play-Doh for grown-ups at Amazon and Walmart. That is just in time for stocking stuffers. That is fantastic. I hope my husband's not watching this because I'm buying that. Okay, ready for a trip to the moon? Who's not, right? Japan is one step closer to putting people there. A group of designers and architects are working on a 4-story futuristic spaceport city that floats in Tokyo Bay. This is wild looking, straight out of the Jetsons. It's going to launch tourists into space for day trips where they'll be able to see Earth and experience zero gravity. But it's not the first urban spaceport project. Here at home, the Houston NASA astronaut program is transforming an old airport into a commercial spaceport as well. So I guess it'll be a race to see who can finish first. But that's pretty cool looking.
That is pretty crazy looking for sure. We actually got down to the 30s this morning out at Bushfield. We're expecting to actually get a little bit cooler tomorrow morning. That'll look at your election day forecast coming up.
And taking a look at, Now we're taking a look over Aiken as the sun has set and it's getting darker a lot sooner, Riley.
It is, unfortunately so. It is going to be a cold night out there for us. And actually, last night to this morning, it was cold start. At Bushfield, they got into the mid-30s this morning, and this is likely going to be the case again tomorrow morning. Bushfield will likely be a lot cooler than what Daniel Field can get to, but I'm anticipating some spots actually get down to freezing tomorrow morning. So we do have frost advisories in effect until 9 a.m. Tuesday. Perfect day to head out and vote, though. Cool temps, going to stay in the 60s for highs across most of the area, and plenty of sunshine over the next 3 days. Not much rain in the forecast through this week. Our temperatures are gradually going to be rising through the work week, hitting the 70s by Thursday, and a little bit of rain for the weekend.
All right, sounds good. Georgia now considered a battleground state, and today candidates work to get their message out one last time. That's ahead at 6 o'clock. It is a little creepy. You know, she showed me my own information on there, my husband's information, and you're like, wait a minute. Where are they coming up with these ideas? It's not always right, I'll say that.
I must be on a lot of lists because my mailbox has been full
I know,
for
mine
the last
too.
month
Like
or two.
overflowing.
Yes, we're happy tomorrow is coming.
But yeah, interesting, and it's not always 100%. You know, they're just willing to bet on the algorithm sometimes. Okay, no immunity for 3 former deputies. That is what the Georgia Supreme Court ruled today in the case of Uri Martin, who was killed back in 2017 after being repeatedly tased. This is some video from that day more than 3 years ago in Washington County. The now former deputies appear to tase Martin until he passes out in the video. Martin later died. The Martin family's attorney says right now they are cautiously optimistic.
Uri Martin was a brother. He was a friend. He was a significant member of his community. He was also a veteran. We intend, regardless of how long this journey takes, to finish this last mile on behalf of Uri Martin.
And these are the deputies accused in Martin's death. They filed the motion for immunity after being indicted on murder charges. The motion was just denied by the Georgia Supreme Court. And this man denied bond after he apparently threw a pipe bomb at another person. And now we're learning he was out of prison on parole.
Right. In 2017, Michael Barnwell was sentenced to serve 7 years after setting off an explosive at a home in New Ellington. His sentence then was 12 years.
Will Rio went to find out why he was not still in prison.
I spoke with several agencies today, Aiken County Courts, the Department of Corrections, the Sheriff's Office, the Solicitor's Office, And here's what I was able to find out. Over the weekend, Barnwell allegedly threw a pipe bomb out of his car window at a guy who he used to be friends with. He was arrested in 2017 for the same crime. We found this post he made on Facebook the same day he was arrested, saying, 3 years later, here I am free, but a prisoner of my own making. He ends by saying, my day is just getting started, and I'm gonna rock it today. Be warned. But how did he get out of prison early? In 2017, Barnwell pled guilty to possessing explosives and child exploitation when they found child porn on his phone. He was supposed to serve 12 years in prison for those charges, 7 for explosives, 5 for the child exploitation, but that language is a little different than the reality. He was supposed to serve those sentences concurrently, so really a max of 7 years. In South Carolina, for nonviolent charges, you are eligible for parole a quarter of the way through your sentence and guaranteed a chance at parole halfway through for nonviolent offenses. It's up to the parole board to decide whether that happens. And according to court documents, Aiken County deputies arrested Barnwell in January of 2017. He stayed in custody until August when he pled guilty, so they gave him credit for those 8 months served. He was transferred to the state prison where he was released in August of 2020, having served half of his sentence. Reporting in Aiken County, Will Rio, on your side.
The Aiken County Sheriff's Office told News 12 they had no knowledge of any mental health problems with Barnwell. They also say they didn't know if he was flagged for buying materials to make bombs.
A special surprise for some local elementary school kids. Georgia State School Superintendent Richard Woods stopped by Hornsby Elementary today. He handed out U.S. Constitution books to kids for his citizenship push. He says he's been impressed with everyone in school during COVID.
Students definitely seem to be very resilient. Teachers are doing a good job. The protocols in place. And once we started school, we're looking and anticipating we're going to have a good school year, and we're going to finish the year strong.
He also spoke with students, teachers, and local leaders about what's working at our schools and what can be changed.
The new amphitheater in North Augusta could be named after a Grammy-nominated soul singer who called the city home. Sharon Jones and her band, the Dap Kings, recorded music for more than a dozen years. They were nominated for a Grammy back in 2014, and just 2 years later, Jones died of pancreatic cancer. In the next hour, North Augusta City Council members will be talking about naming this new amphitheater there at Riverside Village. After her, we'll let you know what they decide to do.
The first frost advisories of the season are out. We'll take a look at how cold it's supposed to be for your election day coming up.